Hi, this is Beru, and I am going to walk you through healing the heroic Chimaeron encounter from a Resto Druid perspective. As the fight starts here, you'll see that we've got a Paladin tanking Chimaeron. That's actually a Ret Paladin with Righteous Fury on. We've then got two of our main tanks handling the double attacks that happen. We assign two healers to that to make sure that the Ret Paladin stays alive and that the two double attack tanks have sufficient heals to survive the double attack. I'm assigned to the low health targets in group 5 for the fight, so you'll see me focus there frequently. I find that there are two pretty efficient ways to handle the low health debuff. The first one is if you've got an Omen of Clarity proc to toss out a regrowth on your low health target. And the second one that I favor is to rejuve and then immediately swiftmend my target. Both of these work pretty well to stabilize your target's life and make sure that they get topped off fast enough to survive another attack. We go into our first feud phase here. I go with Tree of Life and start spreading around life blooms to stabilize the raid for the caustic slime that's coming. I use Wild Growth and Swiftmend on cooldown as well. And I basically just try to hit anybody that looks like they're a little low and needs extra healing. We use a power word barrier towards the end of the feud because the spits come faster and that helps mitigate the most amount of damage during that phase. You see that we've just had a massacre, so I am trying to help get the raid at 10,000 life before the next caustic slime is due to hit everybody. We lose our Ret Paladin there. I'm not entirely sure what happens, but I go ahead and get him back up. Our warrior picked up the boss when that happened, and he takes a break right here. And that's actually going to give us some trouble during the next feud phase. But since everything is already, going fairly smoothly, we keep going and figure we'll deal with it when we get there. You see here that, again, I'm just trying to help get everybody at 10,000 life to handle the next caustic slime spit that comes out. My low mana warning goes off, but my innervate's on cooldown, so there's not a lot I can do about it. We're coming into another massacre. This is going to knock the Biletron offline. I don't have Tree of Life up, so I just rejuve everybody here. Now you see our warrior there with the break on him is about to take a double attack, and it's going to be very unfortunate for him because with that break he's not going to be able to survive it and he's going to die. Then in turn our Ret Paladin who has threat is going to die and our Prot Paladin picks it up. And we have 2 reses left. We use them here to get the warrior and the Ret Paladin up. The way that we handle healing the caustic slime low health targets throughout the fight is pretty simple. We assign 6 healers to it. We have 5 healers, 1 that is assigned to each group, and then a floater healer. When the spit goes out, the healer will start at the top of their respective group and then work their way down until they no longer have any more low health targets in their group. If you don't have any low health targets in your group, you look for another group that has multiple low health targets and assist with healing them, starting at the bottom and then working your way up. Our floater healer does that as well. You can see we've gone into another feud phase here, so I'm just working on trying to get the raid stabilized. We use another barrier as the feud phase comes to a close, just to make sure that we're all, sufficiently alive to continue with the fight. The Biletron comes back online, so we're going to spread back out and deal with the massacre that is coming up right here. You see me kind of poking around, looking for those low health icons to get everybody topped back up. Once you kind of get a feel for the fight, it's not too eventful, and it's really one of the easier heroics that you're going to encounter in the zone. Now we just had a massacre, and I make a pretty big mistake right here, mistakenly thinking it's knocked the Biletron offline. It did not, but I popped Tree of Life, so now I'm sitting here with one of my massive raid cooldowns, and not much to do with it. You can see we're pretty familiar and comfortable with the encounter based on the sheer amount of overhealing that's happening in the raid right now. Really, nobody's life should be over 10,000 health, but our healers are pretty comfortable with the fight, so they're kind of going nuts. We've gone into our final feud phase here, and we actually have to call DPS to stop because we don't want to bring the boss too low. We don't like to transition him into the second phase during a feud just because when the spit comes, it tends to drop people's life low. We favor transitioning him right after a massacre. So we're going to take this next massacre. We're going to have all of our healers below big heals to get the raid topped off. You can see I use Tranquility. There's a Wild Growth and the transition into phase 2. We've lusted. We're going to cycle cooldowns on the tanks to try to keep them alive as long as possible. Our 2 disc priests are going to work on shielding the raid as much as possible because that damage, while it can't be healed through, can be mitigated. You see that I'm sitting here spamming Starfire, 50% of them, which miss because I have no hit in my resto gear, but every little bit helps. We've lost both of our tanks now, and so the boss has turned and is about to eat our Ret Paladin. You see a power word barrier go out to help mitigate some of that shadow damage. We've got our DPS warrior right there. He just died, and Chimaeron has turned to a rogue. Rogues are very good targets because not only can they evade for a good period of time, they can also vanish and keep themselves alive a little longer. We're not going to need it because we're going to finish out the fight here with the rogue tanking it. You see Chimaeron fall there at the end. You see that we have a lot of people standing. Your first kills, that's not normal at all. You'll finish the fight with probably 4 or 5 people alive. I hope that you found this video somewhat helpful, and please let me know if you have any comments or questions.